In order to kickstart things, we would like to talk on sports. I don't know about you guys if you like doing sports, if you like doing sports on a regular basis. I know that for once I need to do a bit more. But one of the biggest challenges in the digital fitness industry is to motivate new users to keep a high engagement, avoiding them to stop doing sports on the long run. Even more challenging for the product teams is to identify, understand, and explain the reasons behind each customer's decision to churn in order to drive the best app features releases. You know that usually people start easily and very enthusiastically with sports for 1, 2 days, weeks, and so on. How many of us, out of 10 people, how many did actually end what they started? Okay, so this represents a big data challenge, not only a self-commitment challenge. Okay, our first guests of the day are Daniele Montesi, Senior Data Scientist, and Emanuele Viglianisi, Senior Data Engineer at adidas Runtastic. They will share the story of ZERO2HERO, a scalable platform powered by Apache Spark and Delta Lake to extract, store, and analyze user behavior in an efficient way and in an automatic way. We will see an overview of the platform, followed by concrete use cases, demos showing how engaged users' information is visualized and easily customized using Databricks. Thank you for joining us once again, and gentlemen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you a lot. Good to put this here. Okay. So hello, everyone. How are you? How was the morning? Great. We are super excited to be here today in Bucharest. Big Data Week. And today, me and Emanuele will talk about ZERO2HERO, an advanced data platform to drive user engagement. Let me introduce who we are. So, my name is Daniele Montesi. I'm Senior Data Scientist at adidas Runtastic. And today, I'm with Emanuele Viglianisi, Senior Data Engineer at adidas Runtastic. And actually, I would like also to introduce you what Runtastic is, because whereas I know that Adidas is familiar to you, let's maybe deep dive in what Runtastic is. So we are a mobile fitness company. We are founded in 2009 in Austria, and from 2015, we are partly part of Adidas, the group which acquired us. Our products you see in the right. We have 2 apps, the Adidas Running on the front and Adidas Training in the back. And we push our users to do lots of sport using our apps. We have more than 300 million downloads of our both apps in all mobile app stores. And all these users are generating more than half terabytes of data per day. And this data is running through more than 200 ETL pipelines in Databricks and our data platforms. And the amount of time that our data reaches us, the business users, is on average 2 minutes. So let's get back to the talk and understand what are the points we are going to touch today. We have 5 points, and we will start talking about the motivation of the project, what pushed us to produce ZERO2HERO. Then I'm going to introduce what is a solution, ZERO2HERO itself, and I will call on stage Emanuele talking about the implementation. Finally, before concluding, a real use case from our company that show you the impact that this project gets us to, and finally some key takeaways. So let me just start from the motivations. And as it happens for every successful project, the motivation needs to be found in the company, strategy, and goal. So what is our motivation? What is Adidas' motivation? Through power, through sport, we have the power to change lives. This is our vision. This is our mantra. And we, as employees working at Adidas, we live it every day, unifying and uniting people through sports. What you see in the background is a picture taken from Run for the Ocean, the biggest sustainability challenge ever done in the world. Almost 7 million participants, and we propose every year this challenge with Adidas and in our apps to get people together fighting cleaning the plastic from the oceans. For every kilometer that these users are tracking in our apps, Adidas and Partly for the Ocean is cleaning the amount of 10 plastic bottles from the ocean. But I think that just my words are not enough to describe the vibe of this challenge. So let me just show you a video of what this is about.
There's nothing like the urge of competition. It's in all of us, and we're born to chase it. It's why we fly the flags, sing the chants, and why we never back down. But right now, we've got a bigger opponent, and it's threatening our planet. It's us versus plastic waste. So let's use that will to win, that competitive spirit, and take real action. Because for every kilometer you run, Adidas and Parlay will clean up the equivalent of 10 plastic bottles. So lace up and help end plastic waste. Let's run for the oceans together.
Super hyped. Okay, so I'm ready to talk to you about the second part. So we saw what Adidas' vision is. Let's get to the sports app vision. As sports apps, as Runtastic, our vision is to power Adidas' vision by connecting and engaging 1 billion athletes. And this is super important for us. And if you think about that, you don't change lives by just buying shoes. You change life using the shoes, using it for a cause, such as it could be Run for the Ocean, we just saw. You change lives using shoes to improve your fitness, to track your records, to set a goal to yourself and improve and challenge the limits of human possibilities. And that's what Runtastic is for Adidas, is the connection between the physical and the digital world. And when it comes to the second part, the engagement, well, this is super important for us. Think about it a little bit. For what do you think engagement is for Runtastic? What is engagement for Adidas? Actually, engagement is super important. We actually have a metric to measure engagement. So let me walk you through how we do it. So engagement is a metric, a function of 3 sub-KPIs: recency, frequency, and monetary. Getting recency of the freshness of the user's productivity, the frequency as the number of activities done in a specific time period, and the monetary is a proxy as a fitness performance, the number of kilocalories. With these 3 sub-KPIs, we are able to convey for a definition for engagement for our users. A metric which is so important that I'm showing later, we are going to actually measure as a success of Runtastic. Because of this engagement, we are able to have up to 3 user segments, user categories, which are the 3 you see. You have the first on the left, engaged users. So let me actually use this. Yeah, you see, right? So we have engagement users. They are no stars, what we call no stars, the best in class. They do a lot of activities. They have a fitness journeys with our app. Then we have the non-engaged ones. They are high-risk users that the risk not to be in our apps anymore. And on the right, you have separately understood and analyzed new users, which are specific type of users which are subscribed in the app for the first time. So they are still in the onboarding process, trying to figure out how to be motivated, how to do sports. And we analyze separately as they might become either engaged or not engaged in the month after. So engagement for Adidas and Runtastic is actually a goal. So we set a target for that for every month. And I want to show you what happened in 2021, because that was one of the most challenging years we have to face. And whereas in the first quarter, we were able to overachieve the expectations. From the Q2 on, we weren't able to do that. We actually underestimated and we went down our goals. And that continued until the end of the year, bringing us an overall negative trend. So I remember that period that was so struggling for all our teams. And whereas they know that that was given by an external cause, just think of COVID, we were able to boost a lot of our engagement with COVID. But after the COVID restrictions were trying to be released, well, a lot of users prefer to go to restaurants other than going to run, right? So this is actually happened in all the industry, and whereas we knew that, our teams were a bit wondering, what's wrong with us? We are keep releasing features, especially we were releasing a lot of great social features in our apps, and very few people were using them. So to dig into dive to what was the problem, to have our backlog, which was kind of full at that point, we had to build something great, something that was able to answer all the questions at once. And that's what put the foundation of our model, our project, Zero2Hero. So Zero2Hero is about that. You take zeros, you take new users, you build a bridge, making these new users to become engaged in the second month after their registration. And how we do that, that's interesting. So let's look at what is the goal that we want to specifically solve, which is the one of new users stopping doing sport after they just register. It's very hard to engage these users. So we have to build a framework to focus specifically on new users. So that is, in short, what we were considering. We give a start date and an end date that here determines when the users will be selected. The registration date of these users should be inside these two temporal horizon. We get to analyze the first 14 days, so 2 weeks after registration, and we analyze everything the user is doing, all the interactions, features, the activities, the sport, everything. And after 1 month from the registration, between days 31 and 60, we measure what is their engagement is using our definition. And then comes the second step, the solution. What we do with all this data? Well, we actually analyze what is the correlation, and we will get back to the correlation topic, between what they are, the features the users used, and the engagement in the second month. And for that, we built Zero2Hero, a complex data platform that gets as input the user selection variable to select the users, and the list of users features to extract, and these as output two things, two reports you can think. On the top, the impact of each single feature in the engagement. You can have an example, how high is the impact? Is it medium? Is it just low? And also, the second step, we are able to put the features in a journey and to analyze how the journey impacts engagement. But all of this, to pass from input to output, you need to go to extract a lot of data from our data platform. So now I'd like to call on stage Emanuele, which will walk you through the implementation. Come here.
Hello everyone, I'm so happy being here, and yeah, also thanks Daniele for the great presentation so far. And it was clear we needed a new data product, right? But there is no data product without data. So let's start talking about the nature of our data. So we work mainly with data from two sources. Data from Runtastic backend and data from Adjust. Adjust is a service we use for app usage analytics. Data from Runtastic backend are basically all the messages the backend is processing. Our backend has a microservices architecture, and there are messages that are exchanged among these microservices. These messages are also sent to us. And these messages we find data like user updates, data like sport activity updates, social connection. In adjust, instead, adjust data are data that are tracked, collected, and sent directly from the device. Tracked data are, for example, the time our users spend in our app, the click the user perform, and so on. So we receive this data in our data platform that stays on the cloud. This data platform is powered by Microsoft Azure and Databricks. The entry point is, let's see if I can use the laser too. No, can't see that well. So the entry point is Azure Event Hub. That is Azure service for high throughput message ingestion. And then we have more than 200 pipelines that takes the messages from here and process those messages, bringing to the bronze, silver, and gold layer. Who of you is familiar with this layer architecture? Good. So this is a kind of architecture best practice, especially if you work with Databricks or any data lake. So on the bronze layer, we keep the messages at their raw state. That means we take the message, we validate the message against the expected schema, and we anonymize the message from all the personal information because we care about GDPR, right? So then this message goes to silver layer. In silver layer, we have some data transformation. And for example, here we have a data type transformation, column renaming, so this basic transformation here. And on gold, the gold layer instead, the data are structured in a way to answer the business needs. Meaning, we have the duplication of data, we join the data with other tables and so on. And the data from silver and gold layers are used in several internal applications. And the model we want to build is a data product itself. So our journey for bringing our new user from zero to hero starts from here, from this data. Actually, I went too far. Silver and gold data. But yeah, here another question. Who knows what is the most difficult part in building a data product? It's, of course, data processing and data extraction. So we gather together with data scientists and product manager, and we define more than 500 user features that make sense to extract. We can divide those user features into 3 categories: biographical information, like the gender, the age of the user, the country; adjust interactions, that are those features coming from adjust data, like the number of app openings, the number of clicks that the user does in our blog articles, for example; and sport activity interactions, that are the feature coming from sport activity, like the number of sport activity or number of kilocalories burned. So these features are extracted in respect to a given time range. Let's say that we extract this feature for 1 month. We extract the number of sport activity for 1 month, but we also extract those features for smaller intervals within that month, like number of sport activities in the first week, in the second week, and so on. Once we have extracted the features, now then it's time to extract also the labels. We extract the engagement level that, as Daniele explained you before, is either the user is engaged or not engaged. Then we have the churn flag. So it's basically if the user will open the app in the next month, so if the user is lost. And premium flag. So if the user has a premium subscription for our app or not. As I said, this part is very complex. It's composed of several jobs that are interconnected and dependent on each other. And we use Azure Data Factory for orchestrating those runs. Azure Data Factory is a service on Azure for data integration and job orchestration. What you see on the right is part of our data extraction pipeline, and the blocks are jobs. So as you can grasp from here, there are jobs that run in parallel, some that run sequentially, and so you can grasp a bit of the complexity from here. Then the pipeline takes an input 3 parameter, start date, end date, days from registration. Those parameters define the time interval in which we need to extract features and labels. The pipeline is triggered every month. So what we do every month, there is Azure Data Factory will change this parameter accordingly, and we run the pipeline. Also, the final data are stored in the data lake in a unique table. And this table is partitioned by this time interval input. This pipeline is also designed to be easily extendable. And it is also made by interchangeable modules. What it means is that if tomorrow we want to add other 200 new user features, we can just take another block and put in there. Or if we want to change the label extraction from engagement label to, for example, premium extraction, then we take just premium and we put in place an engagement label, and the pipeline will work as expected. Okay, so now we have user feature and labels extracted. And from here, we can use those data in several data products, in several use cases, machine learning and analytics. For example, we have engagement prediction, a machine learning model for predicting the engagement of the user in the next months. Then we have the premium prediction, another machine learning model predicting if the user will buy or will renew the premium subscription. And then we have the engagement insight notebook, provide engagement insight to the business user, and CRM audience tag that are basically connecting those data to our CRM tools to better target our user. In the scope of ZERO2HERO, we are interested in putting relation the user feature with the engagement level and provide to the business user engagement inside notebooks. So those highlighted blocks. The notebooks we provide to the users are 2. Both notebooks run on Databricks, are powered by Databricks, take some input parameter and output some insight using charts. The business user can take those notebooks, run those notebooks independently from us, and also extend them by adding additional logic, for example. We have the first notebook, feature impact, that computes the impact for each feature on the user engagement. It takes 3 parameters, start month, and up branch. Start month and month define the time interval. Up branch is an additional filter that allows the business user to focus on one of our apps, either adidas running or adidas training or both. The second one, user journey impact. Instead of computing the impact of a single feature on the engagement, it computes the impact of a chain of features. We call this chain of features user journey. And additionally to the parameters we've seen before, this notebook takes also the features names, so a list of an ordered list of features we want to select up to 3. Then a flag, enable auto split, that if enabled, the algorithm will choose the best value for those features automatically. We call this split. For example, the kilometer of run in the second week, you read this way, should be greater than 10. That 10 is chosen automatically. However, our business user can also disable this flag and then adding the value manually. Then, now Daniele will explain you the output of those notebooks and using a real use case. So Daniele, back to the stage.
Great, thank you, Emanuele. Thank you a lot for the explanation of the implementation. So at this point, you've grasped something about our project. You understood what was the motivation bringing us to build it, what actually the model is about, the solution we are proposing, and the technical background, the engineering, which stays down to the model. Now, before getting to the conclusion, I would like to convince you that this actually is working. So this is actually provided some value at Runtastic. And we're going to do that by exploring one use cases of the importance of week 2 activity, which brought CRM teams in our company to completely redesign the user journey and the messaging journey of our users in the onboarding. For doing that, I would like to show you the output of the 2 notebooks that Emanuele talked before about. So the first is about the feature impact. And we are analyzing specifically the running app for a period between April and July 2021. And after running the notebook, this is what you obtain. This is a bar chart, and the bar chart is showing the impact of single features on engagement and how the correlation between the feature used in the first 2 weeks and engagement in the second month is actually effective. So you can read this in this way. Let's take the first of the features, which is mentioning about the sum of the kilometers that users did strolling, so walking, in the second week after registration. And when these kilometers are more than 2.59, we observe an impact on engagement rate for 38.3 percentage points, which means we consider 2 categories of users: the ones that did perform the 2.6 kilometers after registration in the second week, and the ones who didn't. And if you measure the probability, so actually how many, the percentage that got engaged and the ones who didn't, this is the difference of these 2 engagements. And that's a great indicator to understand what could be interesting for us to focus on next. Now, we selected some list of features which were interested for us and our teams, and we actually focused on the top and saw that a lot of impactful features related to second week activity. You have on the top strolling, running, cycling, and down you also have something for the number of followers, so connections you get in the second week. So we wanted to deep dive in that. And thus comes the second notebook. Indeed, if you think of how users get to do an activity in the second week, the journey is not that much direct. The journey is not that much immediate, as you might think. There is a journey, right? So a list of things that the user might do before doing the second activity is huge. And the goal of the second notebook is discovering what would be the best one to recommend our users. And that's what the second notebook does. So from the list of most important features, here are examples. We select some that might be inserted in a path, in a journey, as journey considers as a list of ordered features that the user might go through before doing the final one, which in this case is in the activity in the second week and getting engaged. And our model is able to extract a list of possible journeys that we might explore with our teams to provide insightful recommendation to our users. And so we selected in this example to study how setting a goal could be impactful, how running just the first week could be, and finally running the second week could lead users to get more engaged. And the second notebook output, running for the same time in scope, and for these 3 features considered, provides these insights, which you can read as the impact of engagement for a single step of the journey. So you stop at step 1, you analyze the engagement rate for users using and setting a goal in the overview page is 31 percentage point higher than ones who don't. Second step, we can analyze either the user add on top of this feature 1 activity in the first week or in the second. And we have an impact of 11 and 12, almost 13 percentage point increase. And then finally, you have an overall impact when you do the 3 activities. And that's our journey. And you can see, whereas you have an impact of 30 percentage points just with the goal, which is great, if you are doing all the activities, all the steps of the journey one after the other, at the end you obtain more than 50 percentage point, which is actually huge impact. Now, before getting to the conclusion, let me get back to the situation and the correlation I was mentioning at the beginning, right? So all you observe is correlation. So you would wonder, well, then the conclusions we would have by correlations could be any, and many of them mistaken, such as the pigeon, if they stay too long in a fence, that would be the output of the model, right? So this is to say, correlation is not enough. Correlation doesn't imply causation. So to prove causation, you have to do a little step more. You have to sit with the teams, look at what is the output of our model, try to get an idea of how to put correlations to prove causation. And you do that in product teams by testing it, by proving a significance. A/B testing. So that's what we do. You set the insights from the correlation, and then you try together with the teams to find ways to prove it. And you set, and that's what we did. We set the messages to invite users to set their goals in the first week. We set messages to remind users to do an activity in the first week, whether they didn't do that already. And the second week, you finally invite them to do a second week activity. And if the users are actually following your suggestions, we will prove that you obtain such engagement and proving from correlation causation. So that's always important to continue and not stop at correlation, because that might lead you to wrong results, such as the pigeon getting the fence down. So yeah, getting to the conclusions, up to this talk I would like to leave you with 3 takeaways. First of all, that engaging users in sport is very hard. It's very hard. It's very hard also to get them not only in the platform, but to keep doing sport with us. So for that, we released ZERO2HERO, a data platform which extracts new user features and tries to get a correlation with engagement. And this tool is nowadays also used by both CRM, stakeholders teams, and data teams when they want to explain engagement, demystify engagement, and to decide which next features to focus on in our product teams. So that was it. Thank you so much for the attention. That's our LinkedIn. Happy for your questions.